Hey YouTube, I am Tiberius and you're about to watch an edited recording of a Twitch stream. You can check out my Twitch using the link in the video description. If you enjoy the content, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel. Thank you and enjoy the video. So anyway, we're going to do a second. You shall fear the second order, which, okay, if this doesn't have second order SQL injection, I'm going to be very disappointed in the name. By the way, I do have my work laptop because I am technically still at work, even though I'm allowed to stream. I do just need to. Okay, interesting. All right, I may have to respond to that in a minute, but let's fire up the machine. And we'll connect to the TryHackMe network. Yeah, my company does encourage me to stream. I'm still technically at work and a customer emailed, so oops. I am going to actually, respond to them. Okay, we're going to add second.tryhackme as a domain in DNS mask, obviously. And I typed my wrong password. Lovely. Second.tryhackme. Help if I actually spelt it right. Yes, he was on Trilogy Media. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to watch that. The only reason I'm aware of Trilogy Media is because of Mark Rober and Jim Browning. They all teamed up. So those of you who don't know what DNS mask is, it's basically the better version of Etsy hosts, where if I put second.thm, it gives me the IP address, but then I can also just put any subdomain, and it also gives me the IP address, which you can't do in Etsy hosts. If you want subdomains in Etsy hosts, you have to add them manually. So it's very easy to install. Well, let's go to second, and we'll use AutoRecon. Okay. Okay, what do we got? Port 22 and port 8000. I'm going to guess there's an HTTP server. Oh, there is, yep. So this is AutoRecon, which I'll put in chat. Which is definitely working. So there was an installation problem, but it turned out it was just pipx. I don't know why pipx is being awful, but it was. All right. Okay, let's have a look at what we're doing here. Second, oops, scans. We'll look at the TCP just to make sure. Yeah, this is basically all I look for. Basically, if it's a we know we can authenticate using a public key or a password, so if I find a password, I can probably use that. I imagine this is going to be okay. So we got a registration thing here. Feroxbuster is going. It's found a login and a registration. Nikto's still running. Mmap's still running. Subdomains. All right, so we're just going to log in probably. So second.tryhackme, port 8000. Hi, Mythlond. All right, we're going to put, and we'll do Tiberius at Tiberius. Oops. I hate you can't see the text. Successfully registered. Okay, we can sign in here. Okay, let's have a look at the request that just did. All right, nothing too bad. The word counter test. There's only one word, Tiberius. Why is it posting to login? Okay. We could do something like this. We could try some. Why am I even doing this? I'm gonna go to my cheat sheet. Okay, come on, copy that. Okay, so the fact that it says, the fact that it's called second and it mentions second order, again, makes me think it's second order SQL injection. What is second order SQL injection? Let me explain it. I guess we should call this first order SQL injection, I guess. Okay, it's where you have, let's just say we have a login, right? Which has a username and a password, right? And the SQL query is going to be select all from users, can't type today, where, still can't type today, username equals, and then it's going to be username input, although it's more likely to be surrounded by quotes, and password equals, I mean, this usually isn't, it's usually not just password input. Nobody does that. What it usually is hashed password input or something. Okay. And so if I copy this query, and let's say we set the username to Tiberius and the password to password, then what we would get is an SQL query that looked like this. Tiberius, and the password is going to be, I don't know, some string of letters and numbers, whatever. Who cares, right? It's hashed. Okay, so if we set the username instead to Tiberius dash 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 and password is 0 day okay? Why would he not be okay? I mean, this can be the wrong password as well. All right, so now the query would be Tiberius, and then we do a single quote, dash dash dash, and the password would be whatever, right? It doesn't matter. At this point, we've done a first order SQL injection, by which I mean our input has been taken from our request, right? We sent this in the request, and it has been immediately placed into an SQL statement. Okay, and we have injected because we've changed the statement. The statement used to require username and password to match. However, in this case, we basically ended the statement early. So all it required was the username. Okay, this semicolon ends the statement. Don't necessarily need it, but this double dash here is a comment. This dash just makes sure that our comment actually works. Is it worth to try double quote if single quote? Yeah, that's what I did. I think back here. Yeah, see? Percentage 22 is a double quote. And yes, absolutely, it's worth trying. It's very, very rare that programmers will put double quotes. It's kind of it's allowed. It's kind of just a standard to yeah to use it. Okay. So this is first order SQL injection. What is second order SQL injection? Okay, second order is interesting. So in second order, you basically save your SQL injection in the database somewhere. Okay? So let's say we had a registration. And we provide a username and we provide a password. So let's just do Tiberius again. Let's do password as password. And the SQL is insert into users values. And then it's going to be something like this. Okay. So this is, you can call it many things, parameterized queries, prepared statements. But yeah, effectively what this does, if you code an SQL statement like this, you're preparing it. You're basically saying, hey, SQL, I want to insert into users with some values. Okay. And the values are going to be here and here. And then at a later date, when it actually executes the query, it's going to provide those values separately. Okay? So it basically will, So it executes the SQL with params, and this is going to be Tiberius. Oops. Tiberius password. And you'll note there's no single quotes or anything around here. Right? It's just values. And that's because when you prepare a statement with SQL, the database understands, hey, okay, this value refers to, we could probably do this actually. Right, so you don't necessarily need this, but if you are inserting into a table, you can define which values you want, which columns you want to insert data into. So in this case, we want to insert data into the username and password fields, right? And so it knows that the username is a string. It knows that the password is a string. So it's going to treat these as strings, right? But even if we put a single quote here, it does nothing because there's no single quote. You can't escape. There's no escaping out of a prepared statement, all right? Because it understands this is supposed to be a string. The entire thing is a string. Right? None of this is SQL structure. That's really what SQL injection is. It's converting a string or other input value into part of the SQL statement structure. Okay? So this is fine. So this works. And now we have, let's just actually do Tiberius semicolon dash dash dash, right? So now in the database, we have a username of this, Tiberius with this SQL injection, and a password, right? And we log in. Let's say the login is fine as well. So we can log in using this literal string as our username. But then let's say that on some page, it does a state. Let's say that, what's a good idea? Actually, this is probably a bad example. No, actually, it's going to be fine. Let's say that we have a page that displays some kind of thing. So maybe select all from, I don't know, tickets or something where author equals username and enabled equals 1, right? So basically we have a tickets table. We only want the user to see their own tickets and where a ticket is enabled. Let's say that we don't want users to see disabled tickets. Okay? But how does it get this username? Well, it doesn't need to take it out of a request because it already knows who you are. You've authenticated. So instead, it takes it out of the users database, right? Users table. So to get the username, it's going to do username equals, and then we'll just do, I mean, this pseudocode, so just ignore this, right? Let's just do SQL query. Select username from users where session equals, and then the cookie, right? Very basic. So our request has a cookie. The page which displays tickets uses that cookie to look up which user we are, okay, because our cookie is unique, and it selects the username from the users table where our session matches the cookie that we have, okay, and then it uses this username in the query. So something like that, right? But our username is this string, okay, so now the username we get is this. Okay. And so when this statement actually runs, because it didn't use prepared statements, this SQL injection, which we have stored as our username, is going to be placed into this. And so now, instead of seeing the tickets which match our username and where enabled equals 1, we just see all the tickets that match our username. Okay? So it's second order because if you think about it, nothing in our request to this page that displays tickets had any kind of SQL injection in it. The SQL injection came from the database itself. It came from a value that we pre-installed, if that makes sense. Okay, so what we probably need to do is log out. And what we're going to do is we're just going to register another user. Let's see if we can trigger any kind of error message. So we're just going to register a user with a single quote. Password is password. And then, I mean, can we just do an email ID of single quote as well, or would that not work? Invalid email address. Okay, we'll do password. We'll do Tiberius2. Username has to be 6 characters. Okay, so we will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then that. And then Tiberius2. Okay, sign in. All right, now if we do test. Lovely. Okay. So remember how when we did the text box thing before, it displayed our username? So I assume that it's using our username in some kind of SQL injection. All right. So let's sign up again. So let's try doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do some basic enumeration of which kind of database it is. So again, I've done this in my course that's coming up, and I've also done it on stream. But there are a few ways to enumerate what database we're using, especially since we didn't get an error message. So if our initial injection breaks the SQL statement, which this one did, we want to do something called what the technique I call is break and repair. So the first thing we do is break the statement, which we did. Now we want to repair it. Now a lot of people just add that. That does work, but it doesn't actually tell us anything. What you want to do is you actually want to do a space. Okay. And the space, if we do this correctly, and this returns the original result, or the result is valid, this probably MySQL. Okay. If it doesn't, then we can try something like a plus. And if that works, it's probably MSSQL. And finally, we could try this. And this is probably Postgres, SQLite, and Oracle. Okay, and all we're doing is concatenation here. So if you think about it, there's a statement like username equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And so if we actually type our full username, which had this single quote in it, it's clearly going to break the statement, right? But if we put a space and then this, suddenly this is a concatenation. We might actually have to do another one, or a backslash. We may have to backslash it. I think that would be interesting. Anyway, we'll see. But we can do a concatenation there, and we'll just see how it works. So we're going to register with a user that has... This is really annoyingly difficult to see, isn't it? Hopefully you can see that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a single quote, a space, and a single quote. Password, Tiberius3. Gonna sign up. Okay. Okay, I don't want to do that. Oh, should probably do test. Interesting. So let's try a plus. Well, this won't be a plus, will it? What server we got? It's Python. Oh, so it might actually... It's more likely to be SQLite then. So a plus, like, again, it works for MySQL, but it also works for MS SQL. However, this being a Python web server, it's very unlikely to be MS SQL. That's the Microsoft one. So let's just skip ahead to this form of concatenation. So do password. Okay, test. Still an error. Interesting. What does this actually do? Does this contains our username. So I'm just trying to think. Okay, well, what we can try at least then is... What I imagine is happening is because it's trying to look up a username, and because this is already breaking the query, we need a backslash. So what I'm going to try is sign up. I'm going to try the original one, but with a backslash. There's just going to be a bunch of experimentation here. So we're going to sign up with this. Okay, test. Okay, so the backslash did indeed work. So let's log out and try my test again. So I think if we have a query that is something like select username from users where username, I don't know why it would do this, but let's just say it does this. And our username is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that, right, the original one. When we put it in here, it clearly breaks because there's an extra thing, right? But when we did our repair, it's going to select username from users where username equals this, but it's going to concatenate this together. So effectively, this is the query. So unfortunately, this doesn't actually match any user in the database. So my question is, how do we get around this, or how do we figure out what to do here? This may just be a case where we need to let me think. We know that there's a Tiberius username. So if we can make an injection that does Tiberius and then just a semicolon dash dash dash. Let's try that. Because that should at least match one row in the database. It should match the Tiberius user that we already had before. So let's sign up. So we're going to sign up using the injection here. Why did they use this email field? I don't know if that's going to be important or not. It might be. It just seems suspicious that it would be there. Okay, so we signed in as, basically we signed in as this user. But if I do test, yes, okay. So even though I signed in using this user account, right, this is my username. If we go to this post request here and look up the value, right, you see here, just above my head, this is my username. And we know that when you submit this form, it replies with your username, but this is clearly not my username. Right? So, we know we can do some SQL injection now. So what we need to do is probably a union. So we're going to do Tiberius order by let's just do one. Screw it. So this is going to be an amazingly annoyingly slow attack, but we're basically just going to do a union. So the first thing you need to do in a union attack obviously is find out how many columns we're injecting into. I could probably just set this up a bit easier. I wonder if I can just reuse the email. That would really help. I doubt I can. No, we can. Okay, the email is rubbish apparently. So let's just, yeah, I'm just gonna do this. Test. Okay, so the union one, so the order by one worked. Let's order by two. I'm gonna see if I can just set an A for a password. That would be very useful. 8 or more characters. Lovely. Okay, password it is. Okay, we're going to log out. I'm going to change this to 2. Password. Sign in. Okay, still fine. Order by 3. Password. Hopefully this is actually doing something. I could try and do something stupid like order by 20 and we can actually see if it does work. Successfully registered. Just to stop us from going up all the time. Oops. I use 20 because it's unlikely there's 20 columns in this thing here. Okay, good. It does work. So we do need to just keep going. Order by 4. Anyone use SQL? Yeah, of course, but I don't want to. Second order SQL injection is extremely difficult to test for. With SQL map, there is a way of doing it. You basically, yeah, so we would, unfortunately with SQL, because this is the registration form, it's slightly more complicated because we need to log in as using the user we just created. But basically what you do, if you have a simplified version, you can give SQL this second request as an HTTP request from a file, and it will basically run the SQL injection payload. Then it will run this request, and it'll use that request, the response from this request, as the detection mechanism. If that makes sense. 0 day says 4. Did I already do 4? Okay, that worked. So try with 5. Order by 5. Just making sure I've got this all right. Yeah. Order by 5. Password. Okay. So, because this order by 5 failed, what it means is basically we were trying to order by the 5th column. So when we get an error, that means there aren't 5 columns. Oh no, I just used 20. So I teach this in my course as well. If you are hunting for a specific number, then obviously you should try and testing the limits first. So I just wanted to make sure this was actually going to work. So one thing with order bys is obviously if you've got a large number of rows, you could large number of columns, you could just keep going up very, very slowly. So one easy way to just make sure you're not being insane is to immediately jump to a ridiculous column number just to make sure it crashes. All right? Because this order by might not be working. You never know. All right? We'll be getting the same result every single time. Maybe the order by wasn't working. But if you put, I use 20. Realistically, you shouldn't use 20. You should use something ridiculous like 1,000. Okay? Because there are definitely tables that have 20 columns in them. But if you order by 1,000 and you get an error, you're almost guaranteed that this is actually working. We're not going to do all 1 equals 1. That is stupid. Okay, so let me... actually, we should probably write some notes, shouldn't we? So, second order SQLi in... what was I going to say? Username param. So register using something like this. Found 4 columns. Okay, so now that we have 4 columns, what we can do is we can actually do a union on them. So we're going to do union, select, and so the 2 things you need for a union, you need the same number of columns. You also need the same number of column types. Now, usually, it really varies. Usually strings work well for everything. So do nulls. Occasionally just numbers will be treated the same way. But we can do, let's do strings. No, sorry, let's do numbers. Sorry, let's do numbers. Numbers work really well because numbers can be converted a lot of times to strings and stuff. So actually we'll do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oops. Still can't type. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to send that. And I'm just going to copy. Oh, actually, no. I'm just going to go back to the login. Tiberius. So I need to take out these stupid things here. Dash, dash, dash. I think that's correct. Did I do a semicolon? I did, okay. So a semicolon followed by a space dash dash dash, password. Good. Interesting. So that didn't actually... Okay, so we probably then need to... Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. We need to basically not match Tiberius anymore. Tiberius was great to match when we were doing this lovely stuff, but now we don't want to match anything. So basically I'll try and explain it. When you do a union, let's say we have a users table, right? And the users table has a username and a password, all right? And we've got Tiberius, and we have just the word password in there, right? So if we select username from users where, and let's use the original injection we were doing. So username equals, just clear up the URL encoding. Okay. So we have this. So it's going to select username from users, right? Which is this column here, where username equals Tiberius. Okay, so it's going to return this row. So our results table is going to at least have this in it, because this matches one row. Unioned with select 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just pretend it's select 1, 2 because of the 2 columns here. So what this does is it returns the second row, which is just 1, 2. Okay, that's how a union works. So this statement returns 2 rows. Now the problem is, which I should have realized earlier, this is only looking at the first row that's returned. Okay, so how do we get around this? Well, we just make this half of the union, the first half, return no rows. And how do we do that? We do that by just spamming our keyboard and making sure we match no usernames. All right. So if we spam our keyboard like this, there's no username in this users table that matches this. So this row disappears, and suddenly we've unioned a blank table effectively with our union injection. So I'm just going to go blah, 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 blah. Send that. And then we're going to log in again. How do I do Tiberius? Union. I'm just trying to get the union back so I can do this. So this should be fine now. Password, sign in. Lovely. Let's count them. Now we have a 2. Where did the 2 come from? It came here. This is the 2. Our SQL injection, our second order SQL injection resulted in a 2 appearing here. Okay, this 1 is just from this. So presumably that's the only... Oh, okay. I'll need to look at the... Tricking the app into showing us the table with the columns that exist. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so this 2 is clearly what we can inject into, which this also means, by the way, because we know this is this area of the application, right? Our username used to be here, so we know instantly this is a string, or at least it is some column type in the table, which can be translated into a string, which means we can put something like, I don't know, second order. Even do a space, to be honest with you. All right. So this should be fine. You know what I'm going to do? So usually this doesn't work, but it probably will in this case. Oops. So this should already have submitted. Oh no, it won't have because of the semicolon. Can I just send that? Okay, good. So if this is in the URL, you definitely have to URL encode it. Because we're in the post body, you don't necessarily have to encode it. It's a bit weird. You should, but Chris Nova's here. Hey. Hey, look at that. We injected the word second order. Okay, so we have second order SQL injection. I'm going to gamble and say that this is an SQLite database. So I'm going to look up my cheat sheet and we're going to see how do we find the version of an SQLite database. Where are you, cheat sheet? Do I not have a version thing? I do. I just can't find it right now. Come on. Give me a minute. There are 103 slides I have to quickly scan through. Got current databases. I know I definitely have a slide for selecting the version. Yeah, there we go. Backseat? What are we talking about? Backseat. Okay, so the version in SQLite, I should have probably known this, is just SQLite _ version, amazingly. Okay. That should be fine. So I'm actually just gonna change this to ASDF so it's a little shorter. Ask if I can help you find the SQL. Yeah, I mean if it's that kind of thing, but I have my course notes open. It was just finding the location of it. Okay, test. Okay, so it's not SQLite, which probably means that it's Postgres, I would guess. So with Postgres, you can just use version. It could be MySQL, but the thing is, as we noticed earlier, it is a Python web server, which to me it figures more likely. I mean, this will detect MySQL, Postgres, and MS SQL anyway, so we should be fine with this. Sorry. Okay, password. And test, let's count. Oh, it is MySQL. All right. So it's a MySQL database. Forgotten semicolon. It depends. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. Because this comment is commenting out everything, it really depends on the database. I've encountered databases, I think it was an SQLite database actually, which required the semicolon. But this one didn't. Okay, so this is the version number, which I'm pretty sure this is SQL. Sorry, this is the interesting thing is it's cutting it off. So does that mean there's a limit on the? Well, I clearly didn't want to visit that non-existent site. Oh no, the period is the there was a period after my username, wasn't there? Whoops. Let's just double check that though. Yeah. All right. For some reason I thought it was cutting it off. It's not. Do you ever use regex magic? Like in what context? All right. So we have So it's a MySQL database with that version number. And the reason we know that, regular expressions when using the shell. I mean, I use something like, I use stuff like grep. I'm not sure that's what you meant. Sorry, I'm trying to copy this. So that was the injection we got for that. You know what? It should go up here, shouldn't it? Okay. So what we probably want to do now then is figure out, we can list the databases. All right. We could start off by just listing the database we're in, but since this is such a freaking complicated way of doing SQL injection, I'm going to try and get as much data as I can out of every single query we send it. So I'm going to try and list all the databases. So what I want to do is change this into schema underscore name from, and then it's information schema dot schemata. I don't know why I love the word schemata. It's just so fun to say. All right, so we're gonna send that. Successfully registered. We can go log out. And password. Oh, I'm an idiot. Nope, I don't need to do that. I need to do a group concat. Almost didn't do my group concat. So if I'd done that, that would have obviously selected all of the schema names, but it would have done them one per row, and obviously we're only selecting one row, so instead we need to use group concat. And what group concat does is it will concatenate these names on a single line using a comma. Successfully registered. There we go. So I'm going to copy this. I keep forgetting it's this one. So database version. Databases. What am I doing here? Ah, come on. I don't want to select all of it. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to separate these out. And it's a good job I did this because look how many databases there are. We can ignore these two. These are always there, but there are these 3 databases. And I'm just going to copy the query that we used as well. Come on. Okay. grep is the answer. I mean, okay, grep is the, yeah. Then I do use grep. All right, so let's just start going through each one. So we're going to enumerate the tables in website. Okay? And the way we're going to do this, I'm going to do all my editing here now. So the way we do table enumeration, let me list the tables. We're going to do group concat again, but we want table name. And it's going to be information underscore schema dot tables. But actually, we can extract. We can be very clever about this. We can do table underscore schema. Yeah. So again, the only reason I would do this, I'm not going to do this usually. I would usually just extract the tables for each database individually, but we can actually do something different. We can group concat the table schema with a colon and then the table name for every single one. The only one we don't want to do is information schema and performance schema. So what we probably do is where table schema in, and then we want website second project. This might be too big. Dev_site. This query might be too big, but we're going to try it anyway. I think that'll work. We've successfully registered, so that looks good. Never save this. Okay. Okay, well that's nice. Apparently there's only a users table in every single one of them. Password matter? No, password doesn't matter. Well, no, the password does matter. Sorry, it's the password I set here. Right there. Okay, tables in all databases. No, it does matter. Maybe we have the entire result in the DevTools visible. I mean, I don't know why. I think this is the entire result. There's a dot at the end as well. DevTools wouldn't. Yeah. This does make sense. Okay. I mean, what I can do is we can also just do one of the tables to make sure. So let's do where table schema equals website. And let's just double check. Okay, I should probably... Oops. So with this one, if we log in with this query, yeah, there's only a users table. Okay, so I think this query is accurate. Okay, so now we just need the columns. Okay. And actually, we can cheat again here. So we can do a query almost like this one. Yes, we want table schema and column name from information schema.columns. Anyone else can get, yeah, ad breaks happen, if somebody can tell him. Ad breaks happen every 30 minutes unless you're subscribed. I'll just type it. Okay, so again, this should work. So I'm doing a group concat table schema. Basic table schema is just database name, colon, and then a column name, right? Where the table schema is web. Because we know there's only one table, right? A users. We don't really care about the table name because we know all of these column names are going to be from the one table. If that makes sense. columns in users. So let's log out. Oh, I need to actually paste it in here. Ooh, come on. Successfully registered. Paste that password. Okay, and if I copy this, so again, the website is the database, but because there's only one, you shouldn't usually do this. You get confused because there's no. If there were more than one table in one of these databases, right, then we would get confused because this ID might belong to some other table. But the fact is, we know that there's only one table in each of these databases, so we know that this ID must be in the users table. Okay, and so the username and the password and email. So it's 4, which we obviously already knew kind of anyway. So presumably these are just all the same. Dev site ID. Oh, there's a create. Okay, there's a created at this one. Did we miss anything in our enumeration? Maybe. No. Okay, so presumably this is just going to... I don't know, actually, that's odd. What was I going to do? Okay, well, now we can at least extract the username and passwords. So grab users. Now this is going to be... We might be able to do it, but I doubt it. I think we're going to have to do this one by one. So username, password from website. Should be fine. I imagine the website one is the one we've been interacting with so far. So it's probably going to be a long list of all the SQL injections we've tried. Test. Okay. Did I mess up the query? All right, let's try second project. You're right. I'm an idiot. Thank you, Kettlebell. So I was forgetting. So this is another thing, yeah, because I didn't extract the table name, I was assuming this was the table name. This is not. This is all users. So yes, good point. So maybe I should do website.users so I don't confuse myself. I'm basically the Pokemon meme, right? I confused myself. Okay, let's just do all this. This will probably help me remember. It's going to take a while, but who cares? So remember, this is a date. So a dev site is a database, not a table. So if you want to select from different databases or even within the same database, right? If we don't know which database we're in, I assume that this query is executing within the website database, but to be sure, we can just try this. Okay. Yep, see? So all of these, look at all my SQL injections stored in the database. But it doesn't matter. All we care about really is this one. Okay, because the rest is just me. So we'll do, this was website.users. So now we'll change it to second project. Notice at no point have we used or 1 equals 1. Well, there's going to be a big list of users, so I did select wall group concat separator xxx. Yes, you can use separator. I mean the comma I feel is fine. I'm just going to experiment really. Yeah, I mean his query is no different. The group concat the only difference with his group concat and mine is group concat has this optional parameter where you can put the separator, right? So by default, a separator is a comma. So when you use group concat, it's going to concat the username with a colon with the password, but that's just for one row. It's going to do this for every single row. It's going to concatenate username, colon, password. And how it separates those rows by default is with a comma. But in 0 days case, he suspected, okay, maybe a comma is not the best idea because it might get a bit confusing. So instead, he did a separator of a triple X. And so the only difference is going to be the only difference is, you see this comma here? This comma would just be in triple X. So with this one, basically all these commas would be triple X's. Okay, so I did inject that, right? Okay. So we have a username here. Keep going to that one. This is second project dot users. The other thing we haven't found is another website to possibly use these at. Do you need the period? No. So the period at the end is part of this sentence. There is only one word, and then it's the username, and then a period. So this isn't part of the password. We found that out earlier. Where was I? So yeah, the only thing I'm confused about is whether if I log in as one of these users, it's going to give me access to something else, or if there's another domain we have to find. AutoRecon didn't find one. So that's going to be interesting. But let's just finish this off. Okay, so this one has a hash. And remember the final dot. So we can try and crack this. We can use name that hash, which failed the other day, but hopefully maybe it won't this time. Bcrypt, okay. Dev site. All right, we'll run that and see what happens. If this box ends upon login, that would not be unexpected. I don't know what you mean. Okay, so let's log out and then let's just try using some of these passwords. So we'll try logging in as smokey. Because although there wasn't a role, it might be like hard code or something that if your name is smokey. But that doesn't look like it is the case. We could try, I guess, once we're logged in, doing some brute forcing. Maybe there's an admin page or something. Okay, and we'll do Hazel as well. See if Hazel can actually log in to this one. I mean, it says not my SSH password, so maybe it is. Incorrect username password. So we can at least try Hazel's SSH password. How do you spell Hazel? Just like that. Okay, so Hazel at second.TryHackMe. Well, look at that, it wasn't. We could try Smokey. Well, Smokey with an E, right? Yeah. I'm just going to copy this password again. Okay.
I'm in.
Lovely. So we can SSH in with Smokey. Cool. And can we... Oh, there's no flag. Okay, interesting. No bash history. What's in the SSH directory? Authorized keys. Okay. That's nothing then. So he has got sudo. So I'm going to copy this password again. Try sudo-l. User Smokey may not run sudo. Interesting. Let's do what type password on that. So we have got Hazel, we have got Smokey. Can't go into Hazel's directory, anything not. There's of course the app. So this is the actual app itself. So now we can actually do some code review, perhaps. The app key and the MySQL password. Here we go. We'll run linPEAS in a minute. So it was in opt/app /app.py, I think it was, right? So we got some interesting things here. Like perhaps one of these is Hazel's password. Let's just check and see if we didn't miss anything. So hey, look what I was saying here. Okay, this is another way of doing prepared statements. So in this version of prepared statements, percentage sign followed by an S means, hey, there's a string. Okay. If check in username WAF what's the WAF test? Blacklist is config self underscore all this. Okay. If account set session logged into true, blah blah blah. Message, store this code in index.html file inside the templates folder.
Thank you for following.
Okay. Message. So this is a Flask app, isn't it? So it's going to be running using Flask. Okay, I'll just Python. Oh, this is a different app. Smokey is running this. This must be our app. Yes. Okay. I'm glad I checked that out. There's two apps. There's one app on the box, and there's this app. So this app is listening on 0000, which basically means it's listening on every single interface on port 8000. So it's this application we were dealing with. Okay. And so what's box do? Okay. So how I figured that out was I ran a grep because I know this was running in Python. I want to figure out which user was running it, and it turns out Smokey is running this one, but Hazel's running this one, right? So if we go to cd opt/app and cat app.py, there is another app running on port 5000 internally, only internally. And this one is using second project load. And so this is why it's Hazel's. So is there a well, let's just do a diff between it was var opt, right? Yeah. Var opt app.py.
Incoming raid.
Okay, so when you do a diff between two files, basically the first one, if you see a line that has a less than, right, it means that thank you, Producible, for the raid. How was your stream? So if you have a diff between this first file and second file, if you have an arrow going this way to the left, that means that these lines were removed or are not present in the second file, but were in the first. Okay? And if you have a right arrow, that means that this line was not present in the first, but it is in the second. So immediately we can see that this second file, which is the new app, uses render template string, which should send alarm bells ringing because that generally means SSTI, server-side template injection. Okay? Not necessarily. What did I fail at? I don't think I've failed at all on this part. It looks like instead of super secret key, the app key is actually super West Monkey? What? Just wanted to spend points. Super awesome. I can't read. Yep. So this was actually the second one. This is the second project. So we should do var opt app.py. Oops. So this one is 00008,000, and this one is 127.001.5,000. And obviously this first one was using the website database. So I guess I'll just put that there. But use the same username and password. So a bunch of stuff was removed and then a bunch of stuff was added. So now we have a blacklist, which means that...
Thank you for following.
Our username cannot contain any of these. So username cannot contain... we'll just actually add them. Cannot contain the word config, the word self, cannot contain underscores, and it cannot contain quotes. Which is going to be a real pain in the butt if we're doing SSTI. But I think we've done more difficult SSTIs on the Pico CTFs. Okay, what else has it taken out? Okay. So registration looks okay. Yeah, so registration is not vulnerable to SQL injection. And what am I doing? I should just cat or just vim, honestly, app.py here. You've written the same secret key. Good point. Thank you. So what was the first secret key? My goodness. Okay, hang on. I'm not sure that'll come in handy, but it might. Okay, so let's go back into Vim. So it's only on login that it checks the blacklist. And if we log in correctly, if everything is good, it's going to set this message, store this code in index. Oh, hang on. Okay, so this is bad. So this is a string. This message is just a string. And in Python, if you put a %s like this, and then after the string you do percentage and then some variable, it's going to take this variable and it's going to place it into here. Okay, which is fine. but now it's passing the entire string into render template string. Okay, so that means we can definitely do SSTI now. So what we'll try, I'm just going to open up my cheat sheet. So this is Flask, so it uses Ginger. Or Ginger 2, technically. So the, you know what we'll do first? We're going to just do port forwarding. Or actually, what I am going to do, if we can do, is there anything in templates? No. Okay. What I'm going to do is we're going to do SSH, but we're going to SCP opt app.py. Of course I have SSTI in my course. Why would I not? Practically everything is going to be in my course. There's only a few things that aren't going to be. And they will be in a follow-up advanced web app pentesting course. Alright, so I've downloaded app.py so I don't have to ever do that again. What we're going to do now is we're going to SSH, but we're going to do a port forward. So I need to just check. I think it's -L. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's -L. So if we do SSH -L 5000 localhost 5000. Actually, I'll just do one, just in case. It probably is fine, but password again. Now if I go to localhost 5000 on my own machine, yay! So we should also be able to go to it here. Localhost 5000. So I just did some port forwarding there. Literally all this does, it basically sets up a local listener on port 5000 of my local machine, and it forwards all traffic to 127.0.0.1 5000. But this 127.0.0.1 is the local address on this machine. So port forwarding over SSH is confusing because if you're doing it to local things, this actually isn't your local host. This is the other site's local host. I mean, it is a hard box, so I would expect that. And also, yeah, we should probably check on the time. Add an hour. It's a hard box, but people recommended it, so. Okay, so we got port forwarding done. Again, we can still use this, by the way. We still have an SSH session. But let's sign up. So I think, if I'm right, we should just be able to do... let me zoom in again. 7 times 7. It's hopefully going to be the right amount of... Okay. So if I try 7 times 7, so this is a Ginger compliant template variable. If I'm good, we should... Yes, I'm so freaking good. Hang on, let me log in again. So fucking good at this chat. Oh yeah, it's SSTI. So we have injected a template. In all modesty, I mean, come on. Okay, so now we need to find a way of doing SSTI meaningfully without any of this. Which, to be fair, we have kind of done before, I think. So we're going to go over to hack tricks. I don't know why I just typed hack tricks. SSTI. Where's Ginger? Remind me to talk to Carlos. The site shouldn't load like this. It's really annoying. I'm just going to search for Ginger. There we go. Oh, it's Ginjava. I don't want Ginjava. God, it's so slow. Ginger 2 SSTI. Is there a whole new page for it? Oh, that would be lovely. If it would load. Can we use debug? What's the thing we couldn't use? And we could try debug. It might not be enabled, but we can. This music is awesome, by the way. But we figured out we can sign in with the same email, which is lovely. Okay, I take it we cannot do that. Okay, so we can't use the word config. Not that we need to either, to be honest, because we have access to a lot of stuff. You only really want to use config if you want to access the Oh, did John crack anything yet? No. I bet that's not even crackable or something. Like, we know the secret key already, so we don't even need to know the config. Presumably we want to get command execution, though. Without using underscores is going to be interesting. What were the other things we can use? So, I mean, this is obvious. We can just use single quotes instead of double quotes, usually. I mean, I guess we could try this. So basically, if we can try and access various subclasses without using quotes, without using underscores, we should be okay. Can we URL underscore? Well, think about it just a go. Where's the check being done? Where's the check being done? It's being done on the server, right? URL encoding only exists in transit. Okay, URL encoding only happens in the request sent between a browser and a web server. First thing a web server does when it passes a request, right, and extracts all the parameters is that URL decodes everything. Okay? So if we URL encode something, the server isn't going to see, none of this code is going to see the URL encoded version, unless we double URL encode it. But if we double URL encode it, it's not going to be valid SSTI. It's not going to be valid Java, Python. You have a filter bypass on the site you were looking? Yeah, possibly. I mean, it depends on the filters. Okay, like this, it means. Oh, can we just use this one? Oh yeah, this is the one we've done before. I knew this made sense. We've actually used this, so we didn't actually learn anything. So we use this on a Pico CTF, if you remember. Only this is actually wrong. This, I don't know why, this is wrong. This won't work. This will just print A because it's literally an A. You need to surround it with those. I don't know why the example's wrong. It's kind of dumb. Okay. So we can probably just do echo ID into bash. So what were the things we can't use? Double quotes, underscore self, and config. So we can't use double quotes, so we'd have to replace all these double quotes with single quotes, which should be no problem. Replace all. Are there any underscores? No. Config isn't used, and self isn't used. Lovely. Okay, this should just work. Okay. Oh. It's kind of funny that you have to log in using the thing. Oh, chat. How good am I? We did do this, to be fair, on Pico CTF like literally 2 weeks ago. Okay, so we can just use a rev shell now to get thing back. Let's use you know what, let's use MC McNabb because it's so good. We can probably actually just do maybe we can just do it like that. Okay, it's not using any quotes, it's not using any underscores. Seems like it's okay. The only issue that might occur is if this is way too long. It doesn't look like it's going to be there. Password, Tiberius. Sign up. Good. Okay. So I just need to make a reverse shell here. Enter our username, password, and... Hey! Look at that. I'm in again.
I'm in.
Mr. Streamer.
Zero Day, have you heard that on my stream before? Can you guess who that is? Okay. Let's make sure I'm doing this right. Okay. I'm going to Control Z this. I'm going to STTY size. And we're going to STTY raw-echo. And then we're going to do STTY cols 172, if I spell cols correctly. And STTY rows 38. And then we're also going to export term, text term 256 color. Now I have a stable shell as Hazel. And finally we have user.txt. WAF WAF second order SQL injection. We didn't actually trigger the WAF at all. So that's fun. Yeah, it's Alia. Okay, there's a note.
Thank you for following.
Please finish the second project site as soon as possible. Make sure the WAF actually stops all the attacks and that you are using proper render. I probably could have read this as... Oh no, because I couldn't CD into Hazel's directory. Also, you need to put a pep in your step on that PHP site. I will be logging in to check your progress on it. It wasn't really too hard work, to be honest. So he's logging in, but we still haven't cracked his damn hash. Okay. I'm just gonna pee it. So presumably there is another site running. And it said it's PHP, so is it in just bar dub? Yes. So what's HTML? Nothing. There is dev site. What am I doing? Did I not CD? I just didn't even CD in, did I? Okay, but these files are all owned by Hazel, so that's good. Okay. So we have the same smoky strong password dev site, which I think is the same as before. Yeah, it's the same user. Okay, so we can actually figure out what IP address we're listening on now. We can I'm going to do it in my stabilized shell. Vim etc Apache 2. It's going to be sites available probably. Dev site. Oops. Okay, so it's listening on 8080. So what we can actually do here, again, listening on localhost, we can exit out of this, and we can do, we can't obviously do 8080, we can do 8888, 127.0.0.1, 8080. Now I need to do another -L because I'm an idiot. So you can do multiple -Ls and forward multiple things. Okay. And so now if I go to localhost 8888, there we go. And this is still working, by the way. Okay. So there's bound to be some kind of error here. Let's cat index dot. You know what? Can I just download these files? These should all be readable, right? Oh no, okay. So they're owned by root. Ooh, okay. But they are all readable. So I'm going to make directory dev underscore. I love how web app focused. This is my favorite box of all time. I'm not even kidding. This has like 3 different web apps. I'm like in my element right now. I'm so happy. I think it was dev site. Yeah. Okay. I need to do that. Oops. And copy the. Yeah, it was you, Medikin, who suggested it, wasn't it? Thank you. I'm going to give you VIP. Okay, so now we can actually look at these. So we don't really need that. Okay. What have we got here? Okay, so we have select ID password sorry, ID, username, password from users where username. So this is again what I was showing you before. This is prepared statements. If num rows equals 1, bind results. Okay. And then it redirects us to welcome.
Thank you for following.
What if we just... I'm just going to MySQL. Show tables. Yeah. Oops. Okay. So we can technically log in because obviously we can just change his password. We don't really need the hash. So we have to do some, presumably we just have to do some of this code review again. I'm not necessarily seeing anything. Was there any like permissions we could we write to any of these files? No. One thing I didn't see is if there was anything, but I imagine there's nothing in here. HTML. Actually, no, because it's going to be an HTML file. So it's the fact that he's logging in. What am I doing? Okay, so here's my thinking. There's nothing
received. Dispensing gratitude. Gratitude dispensed.
Unless I'm wrong, chat. Thank you, Mythlonde, for the subscription. Unless I'm wrong, chat, there's nothing inherently vulnerable with the server-side code. Okay. However, there is... Actually, no, this is HTML special chars, so this won't even work either. I was going to say, maybe we get XSS. Um. hmm, hmm. What is this? Hmm, hmm. Oh, we didn't do sudo. Uh. Do we have?
Oh god, what is this, Tiberius?
I mean, it might be her SSH password, but that might be because she can't SSH. Is it going to be this one instead? Hmm. Okay, I guess we just run. We're going to run linPEAS at this point. Hmm. Okay. There we go. All right, I need to fix that. All right, shipmod plus x linPEAS.sh. We're going to just run it with -q. Expiring soon, so we're going to add an hour again. I feel like I've missed something because I honestly can't see. There's no SQL injection here. Okay, we're just gonna. Oh, what was that? I mean, that's nothing. Oh, maybe it is. Okay, so it's not going to be anything server related. We're just looking basically for stuff we can execute potentially, or things we can read or write to. Server name shouldn't matter anyway. There's a tmux session. That's all fine. Hazel can apparently write to the Etsy hosts file. That's interesting. Huh. Very interesting writable files. Okay. We can apparently write to this. Let's just double check that. I have a feeling that know where this is going. Oh no, okay, apparently we can't. We can write to it. Let's see, hang on. Okay, valid PHP. Apparently you ordinarily can write to that. Okay, I don't know if that was the correct thing though. I presume it's going to be another web-based exploit. The question is what? And I want to check this Etsy hosts thing, which apparently we can just edit. Oh. Oh, can we... Hang on a minute. All right, we're going to do this. This is how we do it. So what do we know? We know that, I mean, if okay, I'm going to sound like an idiot if this is wrong. We know that Smokey is visiting the dev site and signing in with his password, right? Presumably there is a process that's doing that. So we are going to, I mean, we just want to grab his password. It's not going to be crackable, I imagine. I think the issue is we need to grab his password. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to host just the HTML code, honestly, of the index. And I'm just going to capture... yeah, I'm just going to capture his session. Not his session, his username and password. So we can just take this file, and we don't even need to do any of this. This is all fine. Don't care about that. Because what we do, right? If we host the dev site on my server, I'm assuming that he is going to devsite.tryhackme. But we can overwrite this. We can overwrite the domain resolution. We can point devsite to my IP address. Okay. So at this point, we just need to delete all of this code. Okay, I believe there's a file write contents, PHP file write contents. Chat's gone very quiet. I always worry about when chat's gone very quiet. It's file put contents, isn't it? So it's file put contents, and I want to use file append. File put dev shm passwords .txt post password don't want any of this crap.
Thank you for following.
Wait, what? Okay, I don't really understand what's going on with this bit, but I imagine actually we can just take all this out as well. Right? Yeah. PHP, PHP, PHP. Okay. So if I just copy all of this HTML, and we're going to go... okay. I do need to make this the index. So just for now, we're going to go... Oops. Great, index.php. So for just for now, we're going to delete everything in this file and just paste that in there. So now if I visit my own local host... wait, what? I've got an index.html, haven't I? Yes. Let's test it again. Okay, so probably should just put a new line. Port 8000. No, it's not port 8000. No, I'm hosting this on my local machine. Oh yeah, I know. Right, yeah. Eventually, we need to put it on port 8000. I'm just making sure it works first. So let's remove dev shm. Okay, we'll sudo it. Okay. Load it. Test. What? Come on. Alright, I fucked up somewhere. Oh, because I don't know how to freaking concatenate in PHP anymore. Because concatenation in PHP is a dot. Okay, and then we'll just do it again. Just to make sure. Okay. So, we do need to make sure we know where this is running, which we can easily find out if we go into etc apache 2, and we go vim, oh jeez, sites available, dev. So it's listing on port 8080. So I mean, I could just do an IP forward, but it's probably just easier just to change my Apache server. Sites available. Default. It's that one. 8080. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually edit my own hosts file. Just to make sure. So if I do 10, 13, 1, 1, 2, 4, dev, was it dev dash site? I can't remember. Oops. Cat etc hosts. I really hope this is the right answer, by the way. Okay, now if we go to http devsite.tryhackme 8080. Oh, this is running on 8080. Let's just do 8081. And there we go. Yep, I need to reload Apache as well. Yep. System CTL Apache 2 restart. Is it? No, it's the wrong way around. Okay. Unable to connect. What am I doing? mmap-pn 88 localhost. Localhost is closed. Okay, no, but it wasn't. Sometimes I think restarting doesn't work, does it? You need to. Or not. I mean, it should be listing on everything. 10.13.1.124. Is it because I need to also change the Apache config? That is probably actually also. Ports. Yeah, that would help. There we go. Now will restart work? Hooray! Okay. Lovely. Now if I do this again, and I cat etc, sorry, not dev shm passwords. Lovely. Okay. So the final thing we need to do, assuming I am correct, is we're just going to create a copy of this file. I'm actually going to echo it into hosts 2. Okay. Can I just nano hosts 2? Is that going to be available? Yes. Okay, so we're going to do 10.13.1.124 dev_site.TryHackMe, and then we're just going to delete it from up here. And the only reason I'm using nano is because often Vim is not very good in these weird environments. Okay, am I in my home directory? I am, okay. So I'm going to copy hosts to hosts, and then I'm going to cat hosts. Okay, so make sure it's all good. Cat hosts into etc hosts. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to tail, we're going to watch, no, what am I talking about? We're going to tail -f dev shm passwords. And in this window, I'm going to sudo tail the Apache log. And we are going to hope, so these are all my IP addresses. I really hope this works, because I can't understand why else I would be able to write to etc hosts, and also there doesn't seem to be anything vulnerable with the other box, like the actual PHP code. I imagine it's going to happen every minute. Oh, I'm so good at this. So this is going to be root's password, right? Yes.
I'm in.
All right, this. I wish I could upvote this box all the freaking time. Yeah, I mean, I could have run piece by, but it was kind of obvious what was going to happen. I mean, I say that with fingers crossed because I would look like a complete idiot otherwise. But there was no reason for me to be able to edit the etc hosts file. This just was superb. How do I upvote? Can't make the same vote. No, I want to. I want to do it 5 freaking times. This is my favorite box ever. So yeah, I could have. I mean, I would have run piece by if I wasn't 99.9% sure what it was going to do. So the etc host file, being able to edit that, and by the way, this is why we ran linPEAS. So this is actually using an interesting new feature, well, newish feature, I guess, of Linux, which is these access control lists. So even though it didn't look like it was actually writable by our user, there was an access control list somewhere saying that we could write to it. So that jumped out. The note left in our home directory saying he was visiting it jumped out. And then the fact that I mean, I know PHP. I've written a lot of PHP code, and there wasn't anything vulnerable in this. There's no SQL injection. We couldn't mess with the password or anything. So, yeah. So it all sort of came together and kind of made sense that way, if that, and yeah, we're root. And you basically had to mimic the site because we actually, if we look at this check site, this is going to be using, okay, we didn't actually. I was going to assume that it was going to be using like Chromium or something, so you can do that, but this is just using requests. So it just goes to devsite.tryhackme, and it just immediately sends the post request. Extremely fun box. Yeah, that was 3 different web app related. I mean, technically the last one wasn't really a web app exploit. It did involve some coding on web app though. So there were 2 amazing web app vulnerabilities. By the way, when Al Hasbro comes back, we need to get him to do this on Thursday. Because this is just incredible. On the screen are my socials. Please follow me on Twitter, join the Discord server, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and of course follow me on Twitch to get alerted when I go live. You can also find all these links in the video description.